Hey everybody, today I am super excited to share with you the new Insta360 Flow PRO. Now if you recently watched my smartphone gimbal comparison, you will know that I absolutely loved the previous Insta360 Flow due to the fact it was super fast to deploy, had a built-in tripod, you could charge your phone while using it, and it had a great battery life. And what Insta360 has done with this new Flow PRO is made it even easier to use. And they have included innovative features never seen before in a gimbal, such as one-tap pairing using NFC, native tracking via Apple DockKit, allowing you to use tracking with the iPhone's native camera app and other third-party apps. The AI tracking has also been upgraded. We now have the ability to rotate the gimbal 360 degrees infinitely, and there is a new coloured ring light on the gimbal itself so you can see if tracking is enabled when in front of the camera and more. And today I would like to walk you through everything that's new on this Flow PRO gimbal compared to the previous Flow model. Now, quick disclaimer, this is a sponsored video and Insta360 sent me out this gimbal a few weeks early to try out and test. If you would like to find out more about the new Flow PRO or pick it up, I will put a link in the description down below. Okay, let's start by very quickly looking at what remains the same between these two gimbals before diving into the exciting new features of the Flow PRO. Let's jump right in. Now when you first take the Flow PRO out of the box, you will see it looks almost identical to the previous model. Putting the Flow and the Flow PRO side by side when folded, you can also see that when it comes to size, they are very similar. And this is also the same when they are unfolded. Speaking of unfolding, the Flow PRO retains the super fast one-step deployment capability of the original Flow gimbal, allowing you to unfold it in one single motion, after which it will automatically power on and balance. And this is really useful if you want to capture a spontaneous moment, because you can very quickly pull it out of your pocket and get up and running quickly. Now there are actually two ways you can connect your phone to the Flow PRO. The first method uses the traditional magnetic phone clamp. This clamp expands to fit around your phone, and with the help of magnets, it snaps securely into place on the top of the gimbal, ensuring your phone stays firmly attached. However, if you've used these clamps before, which nearly all smartphone gimbals use, you will know they have two drawbacks. Firstly, if you're moving between different locations and need to put your phone away and take it out frequently, the clamp can be bulky. This means it won't fit in your pocket without removing the clamp, making it a hassle to constantly take it off and put it back on. Second, each time you reattach the clamp, you have to make sure it's perfectly aligned, positioned halfway up your phone and not skewed. If it's misaligned, the horizon won't be level once it's on the gimbal, and these niggles can slow you down when you need to quickly deploy and use your gimbal. Well, if you have a MagSafe compatible phone or MagSafe case, there is now a much better solution. Insta360 is now selling separately this magnetic phone clamp mount, compatible with the Flow PRO, which simply attaches using the MagSafe magnets to the back of your phone, and this mount has a slim, low-profile design. You won't need to remove it when moving between locations, as it adds virtually no bulk, allowing your phone to still fit in your pocket with it attached. Also, once you have aligned the mount on your phone, which you can do by ensuring the indicator line is vertical, it stays that way, so you won't have to realign it every time you attach your phone to the gimbal. As mentioned, this new MagSafe mount is sold separately and does require a MagSafe compatible phone or case, but I highly recommend it for the reasons mentioned. Comparing the weight, the Flow PRO is a tiny bit lighter at 366 grams compared to the previous model's weight of 369 grams. When it comes to battery life, the previous Flow actually pips the new Flow PRO with a runtime of around 12 hours compared to the Flow PRO's runtime of around 10 hours. And I would imagine this is due to a slight increase in power consumption used by the new features of this gimbal, such as the near field communication and tracking ring light. Now, one of the main reasons to get a gimbal is to get nice stable footage with a level horizon. With the Flow PRO, the stabilization remains the same as the previous model, with 3-axis mechanical stabilization of the pan, tilt and roll axis. axis, although the pan axis now has the ability to rotate 360 degrees infinitely, and we will be looking at that in more detail later in this video. In my testing, the stabilization of the Flow Pro works really well, smoothing out any movement or shakes as you move around, allowing you to get super smooth shots. On screen now, you can see a few tests where I am walking and running, and the Insta360 Flow does a fantastic job at keeping the footage smooth. Also, like the previous generation, this new model retains one of my favourite features, the built-in tripod, meaning that if you want to place a tripod down, maybe to do a tracking shot of yourself, you can simply pull it out from the bottom of the gimbal, fold out the legs, and then you are good to go. There is no need to carry a spare tripod accessory, and when you're finished using it, the Flow Pro's tripod simply folds up and can be pushed back inside the gimbal itself. There is also a built-in selfie stick, which can be expanded out if you need to capture a clip further away from yourself, and the head of the selfie stick can also be rotated 90 degrees, allowing you to get lower shooting angles if required. Looking at the controls between these two, and again you can see they are identical. On the front, we have the smart wheel, which can be used to zoom in or out, and the joystick in the middle can be used to move the gimbal around. To change between modes, you swipe your finger in a clockwise or anti-clockwise motion on the wheel's touch panel, allowing you to change between 4 modes: auto, follow, pan follow, and FPV, which also allows spin shots. Looking at the back side of the gimbal, we also have this trigger, which can be used to enter lock mode, recenter the gimbal, and rotate your phone between forward facing and backward facing. The last thing that remains the same is this USB-C power output port on the head of the gimbal, and this actually allows you to charge your phone while it's connected by plugging it into the Flow Pro, meaning that if your phone's battery is running low, you can top it up while continuing to use the gimbal and don't have to stop capturing footage with it. Basically, with the Flow Pro, instead of individually having to carry a selfie stick, tripod and power bank, you have all 3 of these things built right into the gimbal itself. Now just quickly, if you're getting value from this video, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things gimbals, but also action cameras, drones and more, and want to learn about the best settings to get up and running quickly, and tips and tricks to help you get more cinematic videos and better looking images with your gear, then please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. And when you're down there, be sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. It would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so now that we have covered what's the same, let's look at the first new feature of the Flow Pro, and that is one-tap pairing via NFC. If you look closely at the top of the gimbal's handle, you will see this new NFC logo. Now, if you don't know, NFC stands for Near Field Communication, and is a wireless technology that allows your phone to instantly pair with Bluetooth devices. With the new Flow Pro, connecting is much simpler than with the previous generation. Instead of having to go through your phone's Bluetooth settings to find and pair the device, now you just need to unlock your phone and hold it near the NFC logo for a few seconds. A pop-up will appear on your phone's screen, and once you tap connect, you're now fully connected to the gimbal. It's easier and more straightforward, and once you pair your phone via this method, the Flow Pro will automatically remember and reconnect your phone for subsequent uses. Worth noting that currently one-tap pairing via NFC is not available for Android devices, so if you own an Android device, you will still have to connect to the Flow Pro using the Bluetooth settings on your phone. Now this NFC connection also has another use, as once the connection is created, it is used to enable a new game-changing feature and one of the biggest upgrades to the Flow Pro, and that is native tracking with Apple DockKit. Tracking with the Insta360 Flow was one of the features I found most useful as a solo filmmaker, as it meant I could simply set the gimbal up on its tripod and have it act as a camera operator. Up until now, using tracking with the Insta360 Flow required the Insta360 app. This meant that tracking wasn't available for the native iPhone camera app, FaceTime, or third-party apps like Instagram and TikTok. But now that's changed, and you can use tracking with all of these apps and more. With the gimbal turned on and your phone attached, you will notice a new tracking ring light turn on around the top of the handle. This will initially show solid green, letting you know the Flow Pro is connected to your phone and ready to start tracking. Now, all you have to do is open a video app of your choice. In this case, I'm using the native iPhone camera app, and once you appear in front of the camera, the gimbal will automatically start tracking you. This works for both the front-facing and rear-facing cameras. However, a nice feature if you're using your phone's rear-facing camera and can't see the screen is that once the gimbal detects you and starts tracking, the ring light will start to pulse green so that you can know by looking at it that the tracking is working. If you wish to stop tracking, you simply press the trigger once. The tracking light will turn off and now the gimbal will no longer track you. When you're ready to start tracking again, you simply press the trigger once more, the green tracking light will turn back on, and now the gimbal will track you once again. Now this feature is made possible using a technology developed by Apple called DockKit. Currently, using tracking this way outside of the Insta360 app only works when capturing videos in native or third-party apps. However, in the future, with the iOS 18 update, native tracking will also be available in photo, pano, cinematic, and slow-mo modes. Unfortunately, this native tracking is not compatible with Android phones. However, you can still use the AI-powered Deep Track 3.0 via the Insta360 app, which we will be looking at in more detail later in this video. Other limitations of this method of tracking are that it currently only supports tracking of people, not objects or animals, and it can struggle to track fast-moving subjects like runners. Really, this tracking mode is best for when you're capturing yourself or others and not moving around quickly. Also in my testing, I find that the native tracking works best when you stand close to the camera. Unlike the Insta360 app, which can track you at quite far distances, the native tracking tends to lose track of you once you move further away from the camera. Now this basically opens up tracking mode to any app which has a video mode, including over 200 third-party iOS apps. So let's explore some of the examples of how this new capability can be useful. Firstly, if you want to use tracking but capture footage in Apple ProRes, which is a flatter color profile that allows you to get more dynamic range and have more flexibility when color grading in post, this is something that was previously not possible. As within the Insta360 app, which you had to use for tracking, you couldn't enable Apple ProRes. Well, now this is possible by first making sure the ProRes option in your phone's camera settings menu is enabled, and then simply opening the native iPhone camera app. And once you appear in front of the camera, it will automatically start tracking you while allowing you to use Apple ProRes. Another example of this is during a FaceTime call. If you want to move around without holding your phone, perhaps to demonstrate something with your hands, or maybe you're having a conversation while cooking, for example, this is now possible as tracking also works with the FaceTime app open, meaning the camera can follow you around the room. Now, if like me, you take a lot of video calls or meetings using an app like Zoom, for example, on your Mac, then you can now take advantage of something called continuity tracking. On your Mac, using Continuity Camera, you can use the powerful camera system of your iPhone wirelessly as the video source for your Mac meeting apps. And now, if you attach your iPhone to the Flow Pro, you can also have it track you again, allowing you to move around freely when on a meeting, so that if you need to present a chart on a board or demonstrate a product, for example, the Flow Pro always has you framed perfectly. Lastly, if you wish to post directly to social media apps such as Instagram Stories while tracking, you can now do that instead of having to record the video in the Insta360 app and then upload that pre-recorded video after the fact, removing a step and speeding up the process. Or if you wish to do a live stream and use tracking, that is now possible. With that being said, during my time testing, something that I have noticed is that currently some of the Smart Wheel functions aren't available outside of the Insta360 app. A few I noticed are pressing once on the switch button does not change between the front and rear camera, and triple pressing it does not switch between video and photo mode. I also noticed that the zoom wheel does not zoom in or out when using the native camera app compared to the Insta360 app. Now, I have been told by Insta360 that after the iOS 18 update, these functions will become available for the native and third-party apps. apps, but at the time of making this video, those functions mentioned don't appear to work. So you can see just how useful this new feature is, and it saves you having to switch between multiple different apps for different functionalities. With that being said, if you're going to track yourself in more complex environments, want to track objects or animals, or have an Android device, then you will want to use the AI-powered Deep Track 3.0 within the Insta360 app. So what are the advantages of Deep Track 3.0 compared to tracking using a native camera app like we just discussed? First, if you're using Deep Track to track a person, once enabled, using AI, it will remember them, which means if they walk behind an obstacle or become obscured from the camera view, when they reappear, it will automatically pick them back up and continue tracking. It's also really good at recognizing the subject it is tracking as you move around it or it changes shape. Take a look at this example, where I have selected my camera for the Flow Pro to track. You can see that as I move the camera around and the shape changes, the tracking is continuing to adjust to the evolving shape and keep the gimbal locked onto it. If we repeat the exact same test with the DJI Osmo Mobile 6, you can see that it actually starts to struggle as the shape of the camera changes as I rotate it before it eventually loses tracking. This means that using Deep Track with the Flow Pro, you can always rely on a solid track when capturing moving subjects or moving around them and the shape is changing. Animal tracking has also been upgraded, making the Flow Pro even better at tracking pets such as cats, dogs and horses, or any animals with ease. As a pro tip, during my time testing, I find that when tracking fast moving pets or animals, that it helps to go to the Insta360 app settings, selecting the Flow settings page, and changing tracking sensitivity from normal to sensitive. Now, tracking within the Insta360 app also works with a wide range of modes, unlike the native tracking, which currently only works with video mode. So if you use the Insta360 app, you can track in photo mode, time-lapse mode, slow motion, dolly zoom, and my favorite, TimeShift. TimeShift mode basically allows you to capture moving time lapses, also known as hyperlapses. And these are great for showing your subject in its environment in a fun, fast, and exciting way. To do this, you simply select the TimeShift mode within the Insta360 app, hit record, and then walk around your subject. However, trying to keep your subject centered as you walk around it can be tricky, and this is where tracking comes in super handy. If you draw a box over your subject to track it before starting to record your time shift, now as you walk around the subject, the Insta360 Flow Pro will automatically keep it centered, and this results in a much smoother finished hyperlapse. Now, one of the new features I have found to be a massive benefit on the Flow Pro is the 360 degree infinite pan capability. Now, when panning the gimbal with the joystick, you can rotate it continuously for unlimited rotations with no interruptions. For comparison, the previous generation Flow could pan from -230 degrees to 100 degrees, and the DJI Osmo Mobile 6 can pan from around -161 degrees to 173 degrees. Now, the pan rotation of the older Flow was still pretty impressive, but because it wasn't continuous, it had two drawbacks. Firstly, if you had the gimbal panned all the way around using the joystick, but needed to rotate it just a little bit more to center your subject, because there was a hard limit, instead of being able to rotate it that slight bit further, you had to actually pan it all the way around the other way to get the angle you wanted, which was frustrating. Thankfully, this is something that is not a problem with the new Insta360 Flow Pro, as with its 360 degree infinite pan, there are no hard rotation limits, allowing you to rotate your gimbal freely and align your subject perfectly. The other drawback when using the Insta360 Flow to track yourself was if you walked beyond the rotation limit of the gimbal, it would actually lose track of you because it couldn't turn anymore. Again, the infinite panning resolves this issue, as now you can continually walk circles around the gimbal if you wish, and it will have no problems keeping track of you. Out of all the new upgrades to the Flow Pro, this is one of my favourites, as I can't tell you the amount of times I have lost a tracking shot of myself because I walked beyond the rotation limits of the gimbal, so I am now really happy to see this is a thing of the past. Now, as a quick comparison, I have created a table which I am putting on screen now showing the new features of the Insta360 Flow Pro compared to the previous generation Flow, along with a comparison of things like the weight, runtime and more. So feel free to pause the video and take a screenshot so that you can use this as future reference. So there you have it, that's everything new on the Insta360 Flow Pro. A fantastic upgrade to the already very good original, expanding its capabilities even further and becoming the first gimbal to utilise Apple's subject tracking DockKit technology. If you would like to find out more about this gimbal or pick it up, then click the first link in the description down below. Now before you go, if you have liked this video and learned something new, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things gimbals, but also drones, action cameras and more, and want to know how to get better images and more cinematic videos with your gear, then I recommend you check out my channel where I have a ton of other content to help you level up your game. And if you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, then please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. And when you're down there, be sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to stick around and watch a few more videos now, here's a few I personally recommend. I'll not keep you back any further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you over there.